Reading structural drawing is a challenge for some who are just starting the structural engineering career, as at first glance you can see very complicated lines, arrows, and texts. You might feel behind with other engineers as you don't really know how to read these structural drawings properly. But in fact, through proper guidance and thorough study, reading structural drawing is just as easy as 1, 2, 3. Here's the beginner's guide on how to read structural drawings. But before we proceed, please consider subscribing and hit the notification bell so that you're always notified when a new video like this is up. This episode will guide you through the basics on how to read a structural drawing. Let's get started. Structural tagging, symbols, and abbreviations. When dealing with how to read the structural drawing, you'll need to notice symbols and tags in the drawing that you're not familiar or not usually encountered, especially if it's your first time reading and reviewing it. So it might be helpful to familiarize those symbols when starting to learn how to read a structural drawing. But don't be worried, since most of the tags and symbols found in structural drawings are usually included in a set of structural drawings, preferably on the cover or first sheet. So if you're confused on a certain tag or symbol, you can always go back and check this sheet as your reference. Here are the most common symbols and tags that we encountered when reading a structural drawing. General Structure Notes Sheet. A general structure note sheet is usually the first sheet or the cover of the structural drawing. It comprises the summary or the overall construction standards on how a certain project will be executed. It states the compressive or yield strengths of materials to be used in the construction, like the characteristics of concrete, reinforcement bars or the steel required, the standard hooks or bends of rebar, the lap splicing standards, the brief summary of the construction specifications and guidelines to follow during the construction. It also includes the concrete mixtures to be used, the overall workmanship or procedure that the contractor or builder follows, the information on the design criteria and considerations used in the structural design, like the load considerations, code standards, soil bearing capacities, and foundation design, and a lot more. General typical details. This sheet includes the detailing on the arrangement of reinforcements like the bar bending details in beams and slabs, typical shear wall and retaining wall details in sections, foundations, sump pits, sleeves and slab openings, column and beam junction details, and standard splices. The detailing on the laying of masonry walls and its standard can also be found on this sheet. The good thing about the typical details is that they are self-explanatory and pretty easy to understand. So if you're struggling and confused on how each of these structural members will be constructed at site, you can always check the typical detail sheets to study or review before the site execution. Column layout and its schedule. The column layout sheet will guide you about the designation of columns and shear walls and locations or dimensions to grid lines. The column layout can be differentiated by the column or wall tags shown on the plan. The schedule sheets of these columns or walls will show the number of rebar and the spacing of stirrups and its reinforcement configurations. This will guide the engineer the right information on each of the columns or walls assigned, especially during the site works and inspections. To know the location of column C1, for example, the dimensions from grid lines are indicated and its column tag. To check the number of rebar and spacing stirrups, you can go to the schedule of the column on the same sheet or a separate sheet in some drawings. Foundation plan. Foundation layout of the project can be found on the foundation plan. In this sheet, you can see the footings to be provided in our project with corresponding foundation tags or labels. Together with the same sheet are the schedule of footings showing the dimension of each footing with thickness and schedule of reinforcement for both directions and whether the rebar will be placed on top or bottom of the footing. The most common type of footing is isolated or combined footing. In some cases, foundations are not limited only to isolated or combined. Especially for bigger projects, we will encounter the types of pile foundation, for example. The same as isolated, pile foundation can also be distinguished by tagging the type of pile or pile cap, and a corresponding table of schedule will dictate the dimensions, thickness, and reinforcement required. Except those of raft or mat foundation, to read the number of reinforcements and thickness and how it will lay at site is similar when you're reading a suspended slab, which will be discussed shortly. General Arrangement Plan. General Arrangement Plan represents the overall layout in each floor level of the building or the proposed project to be followed in the construction. It contains the information about the arrangement or locations of beams and its tags, the type of slabs and its thickness, the locations of staircases, lift walls, slab openings, slab depressions, and levels, as well as the section tags and the location of each in the plan can be found in this layout. GA plans are comprised of tie beam layout or ground floor framing plan, the typical floor framing and roof framing plans of the project. When reading, imagine you're looking on the top of the floor level it represents. Having the same north direction, all the arrangement and layout you can see when looking from the top is exactly the orientation of when constructed. Reinforcement plan. Reinforcement plans are similar to the general arrangement plans, except that it represents the layout of the overall steel reinforcements that we're going to provide in the floor slab. This is basically a plan which shows a schedule of reinforcement with each corresponding diameter and length and location or position of the reinforcements. When dealing with a concrete slab, either one-way or two-way, a schedule of its reinforcement is usually provided in the drawing, and that the detail of how the reinforcement is going to be laid, unless noted otherwise, has been shown on the typical detail. When dealing with flat slabs, similar with raft or mat foundations, the drawing is a bit different because the reinforcement arrangements of extra bars, whether top or bottom, are shown on the plan directly. In this arrangement, you can see the orientation of it and an arrow indicating the directions of laying. The rebar diameter and spacing are also indicated with the schedule of the main mesh reinforcements of the said slab. Structural details or typical sections sheets. The structural details referenced to the section tags we encountered in the GA plans are usually provided in this sheet. In this drawing, we often see the structural connection details, the slab depression details, drop panel details, parapets, punching shear links, corbels, staircase details, the actual rebar details in some of the structural members, and the like. The special details that the structural designer want to show in the drawing can be found here. So if you get lost thinking about how the details would be, which you can't find in the general typical detail sheet, the structural detail sheet would be the right place to check. Boundary wall sheets. Boundary wall, also known as compound wall drawings, show the overall layout considering the perimeter fence along the plot limit. In this sheet, the compound wall's tie beam layout, the compound wall footings are shown as eccentric. The information about the gate level, existing road levels, and whether the plot limits are near with existing neighbors or roads we are provided. We can also notice if the foundation of the main building or project we are constructing is near the plot limit. The overall footprint or the bird's eye view of the structure in consideration can easily be tracked when reviewing this sheet. Shoring layout and details. A shoring layout sheet can be added depending on the site condition. Shoring layout and details is provided when we need to support our excavation for possible collapse of the existing structure nearby. Additionally, when our proposed project has basement levels, shoring work is a must. When reading this sheet, you'll be guided on where to provide the shoring works in the plan. Whether soldier piles, secant or tangent pile shoring, all the section details have been clearly identified and provided here. What do you think about this video? Are there any tips you can add in the mentioned guidelines? Let us know your thoughts and leave your comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.